Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Author Spotlight, where I get the real privilege of interviewing someone to find out their highs, their lows, and their lessons learned as a published author. And today is no different. I'm very excited to be talking to Paul Flint, of the author of The Exam Slayer, How to Smash Your Exams Without Losing Screen Time, who is publishing today. So without any further ado, let's get him on the show and find out what he knows, that we can pinch ideas from him for our own publishing journey. So welcome, Paul. So thank you so much for joining us today. So tell us a bit about you and what your book is all about.
Well, my book is really all about how I help kids with my tutoring. I'm a science tutor. I used to be a science teacher in a school, but that didn't suit me very well. But I love teaching. So I'm full-time science tutoring and have been for over 10 years now. And I love it, actually, and make a difference to kids. But the thing about it is that I teach about 30 to 35 kids a year, and they all do very well. And there are thousands of other kids that don't get those skills.
Yeah.
So that's why I wrote the book, because I teach stuff that's not taught in schools, not just the science content. That's the stuff that's taught in schools, but how to pass exams, how to do revision, learning skills, those things that aren't focused on in schools at all.
Yeah,
Basically because teachers just don't have the time.
Yeah.
So it's been something that's taken a long time to get to this point, but hopefully I get this out to as many kids as possible, because every time somebody uses the book, I get great feedback from it.
Fantastic. So can I pinch a nugget? I have ordered a copy, so I'm not just trying to get it without having a look. But is it one of the things that are in your book that they don't teach at school? What is it that people are going to get from the book specifically? Maybe just one example.
Oh, well, I mean, the easiest one and probably the simplest thing that I teach, and it's the hardest one to get kids to do, but it'll give them 5 marks in every exam, is read the whole paper first. Nobody does it in an exam. The kids are head down straight away, right in, thinking, that they've got to get it. They're out of time, but it doesn't work that way. And that's the way. And part of the reason for doing that is the way your brain functions.
Absolutely.
It takes a little while for it to wake up. It's a bit like booting the computer up in the morning. You start to press the keys before it's ready, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And the brain's exactly the same. And if you read through the whole question, it starts to unlock bits of stuff stored away in your brain by the time you get back to those questions. As well as doing the easy questions first.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because I was just talking to a client yesterday, and we were talking about an exam she's resitting as an adult, her maths exam, and she was saying, when I was taught how to do exams, we were always told to read that all the way through first, and then go back and do the ones you could do really easily, and then go back. And my kids keep saying to me, "Mum, that's such a waste of time." And I guess we're in that world, aren't we, in society, where things are instant and fast and want to do it. And there's a perception that it's a waste of time. But if you don't understand how the brain works, that actually, I love that expression of you're unlocking it and giving it the opportunity to start waking up and thinking about those things while you're doing the other ones. I can't wait to get this book, because I know that I have young people in my family that I'd like to be able to pass this on to. I also have my sister who's a tutor herself, so I know that she's going to be able to pass it on to people as well. So thank you so much for writing it. So becoming an author for you has been like what?
Swimming through treacle, actually.
Is there anything else about that treacle when you're swimming through it?
Yeah, it's been it's not been hard. The writing's not been hard. I love writing. I can sit down and write all day, and if I could do that and that was earning me money, I'd be really happy. That's the bit I have no problem with at all. It's all the other stuff around it. And actually a lot of it is the hardest bit is my own procrastination, I think. Because I'm full-time tutoring as well, that for example, today after this at 9 o'clock I start tutoring. It's half term and people want it during the day, and I've got 8 hours of tutoring today. So on top of that, you're trying to do all the other stuff as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't get done.
So when you love writing, but also procrastination gets in your way. And when you say all the other stuff, what do you mean? For the benefit of those that are just starting out on the journey as an author.
Well, it's things like illustrators and illustrations for one, and trying to get your ideas over to someone else to get them to draw something the way you want it. That's a lot of fun. And the editing process takes a long time. And when I look at the first draft of my book compared to what it is now, it's, so far apart, it's like light years away. And you don't realize that. You think, you've written something and it's good and it's great. And then it just completely changes. And I think without the people who have helped me along the way, I would never have got to where I am now.
So what kind of people have been helping you along the way?
Well, I started off with Karen, who coached me to start with, and that helped to get me on the right track, and get things going the right way. And her ideas were brilliant. There's a lot of stuff that she helped me to do, particularly the stories that I've got as far as kids are concerned and how it's helped them, and putting that in the book. So, and that's been great, because when I've given it out to kids to review it, they've particularly liked the stories because they can relate to them, because it's kids in the same situation as them.
Yeah. And I think that's so important. I think we can get really wrapped up in the book writing process and sort of tell it from our perspective, but forget what the reader needs in order to connect with it, because we're so familiar with it. That's what I love about Karen, her ability to look at it objectively and let you know the bits you need that are missing or how to restructure it. So that's great to hear. Has there been anybody else that's been helping you in the process? You talked about an illustrator.
Yeah, definitely. My editor, Louise, and Sam has been doing the publishing and layout of the book. You've got to have an editor.
Absolutely.
You've got to have all these people helping you, really. I think that's it. It takes time and it takes money, and there's a huge amount of things that you just don't know what you need. So definitely getting people to help.
It's so important. Like we talked earlier about how your book's also helping people understand how the brain works, is that we get word blind, don't we, to our own stuff. We think we've written it and we think we've said it, probably because we've rewritten it, edited it, then taken it out and not even realized that we've now not even included it, or it doesn't make sense. So you need that person to look at it objectively, who doesn't know your subject at all, to be able to see the bits that you can't see. It's not always comfortable though, is it, that editing process? Or how did you find it? I know I was exhausted at the end of the first draft, and the editing part it felt like I had to do another run at the end of the marathon. And I was like, oh, this is hard work.
No, I did. The editing part of it, I just gave in to the professional.
Yeah.
Because I needed the help with that, and everything they said was right. And if you give it that way, and it makes it so much easier.
Yes.
Just accept that they know what they're talking about.
I'm going to write that down as my nugget to take away. Accept the professional. Fabulous. So we know why you wrote the book then. It's because you can only help 35 children a year, and you wanted more children to have access to the information. What's been the most important thing that you've learned in this process?
It takes a lot longer than you think. Everything takes a lot longer than you think. Even the delivery of the books takes a lot longer than you think. Everything. We tend to live in a world of instant gratification, and it's not going to happen like that.
So what do you wish you'd known before you started?
That's a tough question, that one. I think really it's about the time it takes. Not having expectations of it happening straight away.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest, and to get help earlier.
Yeah. So the time it takes and getting help earlier. And I think it's also important for anybody watching the show is that, and how long it takes somebody else might be different to yourself. So it's not comparing yourself to other people, it's accepting your journey. But being committed to it and having the help, you're more likely to finish it. Because I think that's, if it's taking longer than you wanted to, you have to stay committed to that outcome of actually getting the book finished. So what worked for you when it's taking longer than you expected to sort of stay committed and focused to the task of completing it?
Well, it was focusing on why I was doing it. For me, the important thing was every kid that I can help, it changes their lives, and that was my focus. I've got kids at Cambridge University doing medicine who never thought they'd get there.
Yeah.
And so that kind of satisfaction, I know how good what I do is. And the fact focusing on that, well, the longer it's taking me, I'm missing some people. And that was my focus to get me back on track with it.
And I imagine that's a bit of a sort of double-edged sword in a way, because it's pushing you to want to do it, but also perhaps also creates frustration that it's not happening quick enough. So it is that sort of motivation and driver, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's a big driver. It's a driver to get it out there and get as many people to see it as possible. And it because I know it makes a difference. I know the things make a difference.
Yeah, I can't wait to share it, Paul. I really can't. So, what was your lowest point in this process?
I think it was the frustration with myself in terms of days and days would go by and I hadn't done anything. And I think being consistent is the key to it all, doing a bit every day. And once I started to focus on that, it started to get better.
So for you, it's doing a bit every day and being consistent. So how long did it take you to write the book, just as a matter of interest?
Well, I think it's now about 3 years.
Yeah. I think it's really good to do it, because I know that the authors, oh gosh, she's going to shoot me for not remembering the name, Fast Track authors program that Karen does. They look at it over sort of 9 months, but often there's been a lot of percolating and ideas started and thoughts going. And this is the 9-month program is really about drilling down to make it a reality. And I think it's important for people to know that it takes longer, because otherwise they perhaps criticize themselves and think that they should be doing it faster. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no, and I think the good thing about it now is, having been through it once, the next 3 that I've got to do are going to take me a lot less time. Because you learn as you go along. There's a huge amount of learning involved in writing a book.
Yeah.
And
I hope that's the case, because the first one took me 18 months and the second one's taken me 3 years so far. So, and it's still not out there. And I think it's a really lovely, that could be a whole discussion about it. And I think what's really important, and I think you're teaching it in your book, aren't you, how to pass exams. If you can look at what your process is of how you write at your best. And what I realized with my second book is it's tapping into a different part of my brain to what the first one was about. And so it's actually needing a different style of writing. And actually I'm having to develop the skill and the craft to do it in a different way. And so I guess that will come down to, are we writing the same kind of book with the same structure and the same focus, in which, yes, it will be quicker because you've already got familiar. But if you decide to write a different style of book, then it's being kind to yourself, because you're going to have to go through that learning process again to work out how you're going to write it. So have you got an idea what the other books are going to be about? Do you know what they're going to be about?
Yes. What I'm going to do is transfer the skills that are in the exams layer into my specific subjects. So the first 3 are going to be GCSE, biology, chemistry, and physics.
Fabulous.
With a view for how to pass the exams rather than being a scientist.
Yes.
And so it's all about the key things that get them the marks. and the key answers. Really.
It's so valuable in society right now, because everything seems to hinge on whether you've got those basic qualifications to open up doors to everything else that you want to do in life. And so having the tools and resources, I just feel really, really grateful that this tool is out there, which I would need to just put it on the bottom so people can see it. So this is the title: Exam Slayer, How to Smash Your Exams Without Giving Up Your Screen Time, by Paul Flint. You can get it on Amazon. So if you check this link out here, and if you know somebody that's going through their exams right now, or maybe next year, you know, you're going to be going through it, then please do make sure that you check that book out today, because it launches today, doesn't it, Paul? This is the big, this is the day. My order is already in, and I'm hoping it's going to ping in my box saying today it's on its way. So when your lowest point was the time it's taken, what was your biggest success to date so far with it?
The successes are actually the kids who've reviewed it, and the parents who've used it as well, because parents don't know how to help their kids.
No.
You know, and it's difficult to get your own kids to do what you think is right.
Yeah,
I've had plenty of that problem, and you know, sometimes you just don't know how to help them. So the book itself, and I've had so many parents say, I wish I'd had this when I was younger.
Yeah.
And
that's just, it just touches your heart, don't you? And you know that's the difference it's going to make.
Yeah, exactly.
So now the big job is, as most authors will discover, is now you've written it and you've got it published, you've got to keep marketing it and make sure the world knows it's out there, so that we can get more books into more people's hands, which is where this video comes in. So if there's anything else you want to tell us about the book before we sort of wrap today's interview up, because this is a tool, this is the video. So if anyone's watching this in the Facebook group, please hit the share button, put it on your Facebook profile, copy the link, put it wherever you can, send it to a friend, because there are lots of children out there right now. And I know that in society, they're really struggling when they're more than capable to do the thing, but maybe passing the exams isn't their thing. Then please do share this resource with them. That would be great. So is there anything else about the book you want to share, Paul, now, just before we wrap up today?
Yes, if they go through the skills that are in there and they use them, I guarantee their grades will go up. That's it, really.
I'm pausing because it just really touches my heart, because I work in a similar arena but with adults, and it's just, I know the struggles that happen because people don't understand how their brains work. So it's just, I am really excited to read your book and also pass it on to other people.
Yeah, I've actually had to talk about the adults there. I've had a couple of adults going through exams who have used it and passed their exams. One who's doing police exam.
Yeah. That might be book number 4 then. after you've done physics, maths and whatever, it'd be exams for adults.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing time with us, and I look forward to finding out what happens next with your book. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So if you are a budding author and you are wanting to turn your book writing dreams into a reality, thinking about what Paul said, remember that Karen has a process. She has all the tips and resources. So she is the sponsor of this show. Please reach out to Karen Williams at Librotas.com and find out how you could get your book writing dream into a reality. That's not quite the right words, but turn your book writing dream into a reality. Until the next time, take care.